your shell is solid, you can be rest assured that the tone you get from the drum will be solid, right? Even though if you have a lot of experience and maybe the shells, like the drum shells are not very good, but if you have great tuning sense, you can still get great, get great tone. Yes. But today we're working with a Earl decade label, right? And it's a very solid kit, no lie. Like every one of the shells are about 6 ply. When I say 6 ply, I mean like 6 layers of wood has been stretched and curved to get this. So you can even hear the way it sounds. It's solid, right? It's solid. Now, there's one thing for me to give you a decade number and say, yo, play the best you can. Produce something crazy outrageous from this. It's also another thing for you to know how to use a kit with that kind of material. So let's get into it, but I'll just show you basic stuff. Now when you pick up a drum head, right here I'm working with Evans drum heads. I'm working with the EC2, right? Now, when I mount a drum head, one of the first things I do before I even put my tension rods in place, one of the first things I do is I make sure that I don't have any edges of like being kind of loose. So what do? I either put my fist at the center of the drum. It could be a snare, it could be anything. I put either my fist or my thumb at the center, and I keep doing this until I know that I don't have any air spaces around. I don't have any loose spaces hanging. And then when that is done, and I'm sure that I've gotten a central point, then I can now stop on my tension rod. So what would I do? We all know like the basic compass, right? North, south, east, and west, right? Or if you're using a clock, 12, 6, 9, 3, right? And that's how you get to tune your drum. So if I'm trying to put my heads in place, I'll probably start from, let's say, in this case, I'll start from, let's say, 4, right? So when I tune my 4, I make sure it's to a level, to a point. Then I go straight to my 10. See the whole north and south, at every direction. You always have to move 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? So, moving like this, or like this, or like this, or like this, depends on whatever you're doing. Because the reason you have to do that is, if they're both balanced on both ends, if they're balanced on both ends, you are sure that you're not going to have any extra, like, what's the word, overtone. You're very sure you're not going to have overtone. Now, when it comes to overtones, naturally, because it's a drum, once you expand the head, you will get overtones. But one of the quickest ways to cut the level of overtones is to tune north and south at every point. North and south at every point. Now, what do I do on a personal level? I do not tune so tight, right? I just make sure it's locked enough, not too tight, not too loose, just hard enough for me to be able to do what I'm doing and get a balanced center, right? In this case right now, we have rings. But rings are my last option. Let me show you what I mean. So rings are my last option when I tune my drums and get what I want to do. Like, anybody who knows me knows I'm not a jazz drummer. I'm not saying that I cannot play jazz, but it's just not my specialty. It's not something I wake up in the morning and get excited to do. Even though we can do it, it's not our preference. But if you're a jazz drummer, you might like this. You might just like it because it gives you that, extra ring, kind of thing. But for me, I'm a fusion drummer, so I need my sounds to be a little bit harder or more rounder than usual. That's where this guy comes in. Now, mind you, you could either use the rings or you could use the gels. Or if you do not have the rings or the gels, you can use tape and paper. Why? Because what you're trying to do is to cut off the excess overtone, right? So a lot of us, when we're growing up in church and we started playing, found out that we didn't have access to rings or anything. We didn't even know what this was. So we used sellotape and paper, right? And it worked. Didn't it work? It worked for me because it worked for me. It worked for me like years, man. You understand? So sellotape and paper does the job in the absence of drum rings or moon gel, right? Now various companies have this. This one is from Evans. You can see it. This is typically Evans. You have some from Remo, you have some from Aquarium. They all work. But the duty is just to cut off the extra overtone because I don't want my drums sounding like. Now watch the change. I want to listen to the changes. Because some people can still wonder, but why do they have these things? What are these things? All right, I'm basically showing you what these things do. I don't even need tape to hold it together. All I need to do is just place it there, and it works. So if my drums are sounding like this right now, and I put this over it, it sounds bigger, it sounds rounder, and it's more solid. Now for my kind of music, that's the sound for me. But before I get to this point, where I can say that I have this sound, I must have been able to do the basics, which is tuning. Now most people, I don't know about you guys, but most people tune from the top. Why they do that, I don't know. For real. Why they do that, I don't know. Maybe that's what they like, right? Maybe that's what they like. For me, I tune from the bottom. I'm sure somebody's going to ask me why. Why do you do that? Let me explain. So, if I keep tuning from the top, I'm going to run out of tensional space, mentally speaking. I'll run out of space. Because if I keep turning and turning and turning and turning, one day I'll get to a point where I cannot turn anymore. And even if I can, the logs are going to give up on me and they'll snap. The reason is because every time you hit the drum head, it expands. Which is natural. It's just a natural defense mechanism for the drums, the way it's designed. If you play your drums and at the end of the show, it's destroyed. It's great. It's good for the drum. It preserves the life of the tension rod and the logs and the drum heads at the same time. So for those of you who feel that it's an error when you play drums and then it gets distorted and then you get mad, you're like, these drums, you know they work, they know beats. Nah, you don't know what you're dealing with. It's just a defense mechanism for your drums. The way it's manufactured is manufactured to be able to discipline itself, like it's defend itself when it's split. Like, if I try to throw a punch and you won't leave, that's what the drum does. You understand? Now, when that happens, so when that happens, okay, the drums have to defend themselves, and the way the drums defend themselves, they distune. Now, if I keep tuning from the top, like every time the drum head expands, I am forced to turn it. And then one day you're going to be in church and then you hear, bah! You're like, Master, we need a new drum. Look at your pastor, I look at you like, yeah, if I'm your pastor, if I'm your pastor. So what do? Instead of going through that problem, I choose to tune from the bottom. Reason, this part does not expand. Nobody plays drums like this. Unless you're just trying to be dramatic, you understand? So if you don't play drums like this, then there is a tendency that the lifespan of this head is longer than the lifespan of this head, no matter how good this head is. So I'd rather tune from the bottom. Now what I do is, I'm going to use some language, and I hope you understand. I'll try to explain it as much as I can. there's something I call temper. Like T-M-P-E-R, temper, the regular temper we know, right? I try to tune my drums to temper. Like, tune it to a level where, like, set it up to a level where it can take it. It's balanced on top, right? And then when I need to change my tone, I do it from the bottom. So, okay, anybody, I need a volunteer, anybody, take this, anybody, take this. Great. Stand that way and pick any note and turn it up. Any of the notes on the, yeah. Turn it as high as you can. Now look for another note. You can say. What do you notice?
Tone is changing.
Sound is changing. Is it going higher? It is, because he's turning it higher. But guess what? After 10 years, let's imagine that this drum set has 10 years lifespan. After 10 years, you can still turn that part. But if you're trying it with this, after 3 years, you can't turn this part anymore. He's actually part of my class. I needed him to do something for me.